Well, there it is, cleaned up. In the end, what I used was frog tape to stop the stripper going too far, and then I used aircraft remover to get this off, and then just lightly sanded it. I can feel there's a ridge here, and that's obviously where the contact was rubbing all the time. So in the end I just thought, to hell with it, I'm just going to clean that whole lot off. I'm going to cover that with copper grease. I cleaned this out with same thing with stripper, and this edge here. This is where the locking bar goes in, so that it doesn't come out of the column. Next is to clean up these ferrules on both ends, particularly on that end, because it's kind of greasy in there still, believe it or not. And I want to get it cleaned out so that when I put in this piece, it goes in nice and easy. I think what I might do is go down the road and see if I can obtain a wire brush that is tubular rather than a flat, rectangle. Oh, my little brass thing fell off. That happens in the cold weather too. So there you go. Let's move on to the next section. Now, one of the tasks that I like to do is inside this tube, there was a bit of rust. Now, I grabbed myself a very large brush, that one there, and cleaned it inside. Then I dipped the brush in gasoline and again dipped it and ran it up and down inside, then tried to get as much crap out as I could. Next thing I wanted to do was to neutralize the rust that's in there. Now I know, again, nobody's ever going to see it, but I want that rust dealt with. And what you can see here is the result of me pouring in a rust converter, rust remover. I will be putting a converter in there, and that is this stuff here. Grab it from your local Home Depot, concrete and metal prep. Great stuff. Pour it in there. I've taped over the holes, otherwise it'll just come straight out. Not very good. And as you can see, it's just frothing up and pouring out and pouring out. So that will be left for a few hours. In fact, probably until I see that it's not foaming so much or at all. And once that's done, then I will rinse it out and probably pour in some rust converter. I'm not quite sure yet. I may, and I haven't decided yet, may just fill the tube up with oil and then pour it out and hope that the oil gets on the metal. I don't know. I got to think about this because I can't actually see it and I can't get to it. I've got to decide what liquid I can pour in there and then pour out. I don't want to just rinse this with water and then leave it, because I think that will just then create rust again. So I want to pour something in there that's maybe going to convert it. Not sure yet exactly what, but this stuff here, that eats the rust away, but then I want to protect it, so I've got to decide how to do that. Maybe I'll just pour some, there you go, there's a thought. Maybe just pour in some Pour 15 paint and then pour it out again, because Pour 15 is pretty darn good shit. I'll let you know in a later part of this video. Well, as always, there is a vast collection of pieces. This shaft here, which goes into this little beastie, and about here. Got to grease that up. I'm not going to put that in yet. And then this little screw has to go in the hole and line up with this slot so that the steering wheel can go in and out without coming all the way out. We have the 4 screws here they just hold the, oh, it's not here, the plate that goes through the firewall. That's what they're for. Then obviously the contacts here for the horn. The brass retaining clip that goes through this slot and locks onto there, onto that shaft, onto the shaft. That's to stop the shaft from coming out. What else do we have? These little beasties here, that's for the turn signal. The bracket that they hold in is currently drying. I've just painted it. Then we have this, which is the squeezable collar, for want of a better word, and obviously the collets here, so that when you crank this down, this resides in here, thusly, nicely, it'll be nicely greased, and then when you wind this on the end of the column, it will squeeze these ferrules in and lock the shaft. There's the horn contact. Where's the old one? The old one's around somewhere. There. As you can see, the old one had a groove in it. This one doesn't. It's also fractionally bigger, but that's okay. That's not a problem. Okay. Then we have the wire connector. Another contact that has to be done. And the other contact. Fortunately, I've left this on here so I know which way round this goes. I must admit I'm a little confused as to two connectors. One, the small one, which I believe goes on the end of the wire, and in fact they gave me a nice new piece of wire. So that's where this little one goes, so I'm going to have to solder that on. But I don't know what this one's for. The only thing I can assume is it may be for this, to make connection here. But, and that's loose, which means I would have to pinch this up. I got to look at the parts catalogue to see if it shows this as a separate thing, and if not, then it is, obviously as I think it is, to go on that connection, so I'll have to just pinch that up a little tighter. This obviously is the main nut and washer that goes onto the end of the steering column to hold on the, see if I can just do this a second. When this shaft is in the vehicle and the steering wheel is on, then that washer will go on, and then this nut will go on top of that. Now I'm just telling you all about this, but I will be actually showing you when I put it together. Oh, and this circlip, that belongs to this little beastie that goes into that ridge there once it is inserted into here. Alright, once the parts have dried, then I can start to assemble this. And right at the moment, I can't do that, which is kind of annoying, but that's alright. We'll get this video out probably tomorrow sometime. And then there's the 3 screws here with their washers. Come on, brain, you can do this. I think that holds on the bottom shield, you know, that big plastic thing. We will see when I get there. I think that is about it. Oh, being Mr. Rain, well, you can see I've cleaned this up, but I wanted the inside of this shaft to have some kind of protection on it. And you know, this shaft is not seen, so it doesn't have to look pretty, so I'm not worried about the fact that I messed it up a little bit. That's just too bad. But I wanted the inside of this coated with something, and what I ended up doing was I taped up the holes, then I filled the shaft full of rust converter, which I showed you in the previous clip. Then once that was done, I drained it all out. Then I filled it full of cellulose thinners, because I didn't want to use water, that would only encourage rust. Poured the cellulose thinners out, let that evaporate. Then I poured Pour 15 black paint into this and left it till it filled up, and then once it had filled up, I poured it all out. Now pour 15 is pretty thick shit, so it takes a while to come out. And what I did is I just poured it in through this hole, and because that's the only area I needed to coat. This area here will be greased because that's where the shaft goes in, so I'm not worried about that. But when I poured the pour 15 out, as you can see, it created a little bit of damage, but again, not worried. It's hidden, so it's not going to be seen. Bugger off, mosquito. Go away. I'm not edible. So then I just let that dry overnight. And then, of course, because when I poured it out, some of the paint got on the flutes in here, I then had to clean that out. And I just did it with a wire brush and a scalpel just to make it nice and clean. And now when I put this in, this will be greased up with copper grease. It will slide in nice and easy. Ooh, that mosquito's really going to die. And I don't know if I can show you this. I don't know if it'll go in because there is no grease on it. There, okay, can you see that? You can't answer me, can you? You see, there it is. Slides. Actually, it's not bad considering it's a dry fit. And then this little beastie with the pin on the end will go in here. And I'll tell you, this is one of the most fiddliest threads to get lined up because it's on a curve. Oh, there you go, look at that. I actually got it. I can't believe that. And so when you pull that up, then it won't come out any further than that. It won't go in any further than that. So that's what happens to it. And then once I've got this in here, then I'm going to give this a little lick of paint, because it's a piece of bare steel, and I don't want to leave bare steel there. Okay. All right. Oh, mind that, Morton. All right. Well, let's wait. I gotta wait. You haven't, for the paint to dry on those other pieces, and then we can assemble this tomorrow. One other point that I didn't mention, which it's kind of obvious, but you know, just in case you guys don't remember it, always put the things together. Make sure the threads are clear. Okay, I put this on here, and as you can see, it spins up nicely. I did the same with this nut. Every nut and bolt that you need to assemble this, clear it and make sure it works. This one I haven't taken apart yet to do it, but I will. And the same on this one. I haven't taken it apart and cleaned it up, but I will. In fact, I'll do that in a minute. Right, just wanted to throw that in.